Hello, thank you very much for your interest in seeing and hearing something about the spiritual high school which was given by Rudolf Steiner. Like I already have told you last time, is I'm not an English native speaker, so excuse me for that. And what I have done is I tried to find translations of the mantras and the text of the lessons, which have been given by Rudolf Steiner, 1924. And what I found is thankfulness, a translation from Frank Thomas Smith, but I also have done translations on my own. So what I can do here now is to say the mantras which I have translated by my own, with some guidance on the translations I said before. And I will give some short explanations to these mantras. And what I've already said at last time is this is something that we really can call worship to God, like going in church. You have something which was given by Rudolf Steiner in a spirit of the Archangel Michael, and in a very Christian way. So it is something like a spiritual Christian Michael worship. So please note, if possible, to be not disturbed during that time. Maybe it's recommended, would be very nice to see if you can hear it one time in one piece without breaks. And please try to come in a very mood devoted to God, spiritual meditation kind of way in your mind and in your soul. Be aware of what's going on, and also maybe it's possible for you to work with these mantras in the next days and next time. And this is something which has been given after a long work of Rudolf Steiner, who has done a lot of teaching about the spiritual world. And it is something like we also call an initiation way. We know several different kinds of initiation ways, like from the Johannes Gospel, or which is here more seen as at a way and a path to the spiritual world, like Christian Rosenkreuz has given it. So the first step which you have to do to go this path, this way, is a study of the spiritual science, which is given at the Anthroposophy by Rudolf Steiner. You can also find it in different holy books, very much of it, from different sources, from different holy men. And the study brings you in a new thinking that you can understand more about the spiritual world, which is really necessary to go into the spiritual world. And then there are several more steps up to change your thinking, to change your feeling, to change your willing, to be able in a rightful way to enter into the spiritual world, and to come into this mood for some work like this. I will start saying some truth words from Rudolf Steiner. We call it the foundation stone, and I will say the last part of the foundation stone meditation. In the turn of time occurred the world spirit light into the earthly stream of beings. Night darkness had ended its prevail. The brightest light streamed into human souls, light that warms the poor shepherds' hearts, light that enlightens the wise kings' heads. Divine light, Christ Son, warm our heads, enlighten our heads, though that good will be what we through our hearts rise, what we through our heads purposefully want to lead. And what we are working today is the second lesson of the first class, and I will start with the first board, which was given at the 9th lesson. O man, know yourself. So resounds the world word. You hear it, soul powerful. You feel it, spirit vastness. Who speaks so word fastly? Who speaks so felt heartily? Does it act through space, distant radiation, in your senses being experience? Does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? Is it you, yourself, who in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream? And when we, with meditation, will come out of the body and going and looking to the spiritual world, there will be the guardians of the threshold standing before us, telling us what we are still missing on our own to become a whole, a real human being, to be able to enter the spiritual world in a rightful way. And this guardians, he is standing before us like a related being to us, showing us with all our faults and with all our things we have to change on us, like our own being. He stands before us. And in the mood of, "Oh man, know yourself." You have to hear the sounding words which are coming to you. Where on earthly ground, color on color, life is manifest in creation, where from earthly matter, form on form, the lifeless is given shape, where sentient beings, strong in will, warm themselves in joy of existence, where you, O man, your bodily being, derive from earth and air and light. There your true being enters, deep, night-enveloped, cold darkness. You ask in the dark, sweeping expanse, no longer who you are and where and will be. For your own being, the day grows dimly, to the soul's night, to spirit darkness, and you turn with angst of soul towards the light that from darkness streams. This our great beautiful world of sense, this physical world, it never can give us an answer of our question, who we are as a human being. We have to look forward to find the right way to the spiritual world, where we really find knowledge. And when the guardians approach, we can hear the words, and out of darkness brightens, your likeness manifesting you, but to the parable also forming you, earnest spirit words in world ether, heard by your heart, acting powerful. To you, the spirit messenger, who alone can light for you the way. Before him the fields of sense widen, behind him yawn the abyss depths. And before his dark spirit fields, hard by the yawning abyss of being, there his elemental creator word sounds, "Behold, I am the only gate to knowledge." And then the guardians himself will speak, and we are still on the side of the sense fields, looking across the abyss into the darkness, which is a Maya for us, because the darkness on our right way should lighten and become our spirit knowledge. And he speaks, indicating the apparent darkness, this Maya darkness. From the far reaches of space beings who experience existence in light from the stages of the curse of time, which finds expression in creating from the depths of heartfelt feeling. Here in the self, the world is Theosophic. There resound in the speech of the soul, there enlightened by spiritual thoughts, that from divine healing powers, in the world shaping powers, the undulating existential words, O man, know yourself. And you have to become the power to look back on yourself, to look back on your life on earth, your past life, and find self-knowledge. And find out that you are unpurified in your thinking, in your feeling, in your willing. And what stands before you as a parable of you is a terrible image of all your things you have done in your time, in your earth life. But you must beware of the abyss, otherwise its beasts will devour you if you pass by me in haste. Your cosmic age has placed them there in you as enemy of knowledge. Behold the first beast, the crooked back, the bony head, the scrawny body. His skin is all a dullish blue. Your fear of creative spiritual being begat the monster in your will. Knowledge, bravery alone will overcome it. You have to work on your bravery, knowledge. You have a cowardice of knowledge, and you always try to find ways to not work on the truth of the world and believe and stand for it. Behold the second beast in bars, its teeth in a warped face. Scornfully it lies, yellow with grey spots is its body. Your hate of spiritual revelation begets this weakling in your feeling. Your fire for knowledge must tame him. In your feeling, in your weak feeling, you have a hate against the spiritual world, and you always find new ways to not believe what's coming out of the spiritual world. You have to dance this. You have to enlighten a fire for the knowledge and work on your real knowledge of truth. Behold the third beast, with cloven muzzle, its eye is glassy, posturous lodging, dirty red its form appears to you. Your doubts in spirit, light violence, beget this ghost within your thinking. Your knowledge creation must make it yield. You have to work on the books and the writings of the truths of spiritual world, and you have to prepare yourself for being able for creative thinking, of a living thinking, which prepares you for the spiritual world. And then the spiritual world will stream into your creative thinking. Only when you've defeated the three will wings brood upon your soul to cross the abyss over, which separates you from the knowledge fields, to which your heart, longing desire, want to salvation seeking, consecrate itself. And such a sensation, such a mood can lead us to a feeling which can activate us to enter into the spiritual world as a genuine, living human being. And that is what we have worked from. And do not live in a kind of game. Think everything is a fun and a game. It is an earnest thing to work with the spiritual world. And who will not work in a very, very absolute, earnest way will harm himself and his surrounding of human being. And so it's very and absolutely necessary for everyone and for humanity to work on an absolute earnest way. And what at first we have to cultivate and work on is our thinking. Our thinking is trained by mass medias, by school, by universities, in a way to think untruth things, to think things which only are necessary for the world of senses, the field of senses, the physical world. We have cultivated our thinking, our feeling and willing for a real world, for the spiritual world and the truth of the whole cosmic being. And till we are not doing this, we are not defeating these beasts, our thinking will be dead. The thoughts are a phantom, a feeling will mockering, and the willing will be a bony cookedness of spirit. And the first step is the thinking, and it's really deeply rooted in our nowadays humanity to create the thinking which hinders us in a very strong way to enter the spiritual world in the right way. Behold the third beast, with cloven muzzle, its eye is glassy, boisterous lodging, dirty red, its form appears to you. And our thinking, what we are trained to use in our life between this birth and nowadays, is a dead thinking. In the history of the earth, in the year 333 after Christ, there was the ending of a living thinking for the human being. The old Oriental humans, the old Greeks, when they have thoughts in their own, they had this strong feeling, these are thoughts from God. These are the gods are thinking in my thoughts. And this ended. And what we have now is the dead body of this living, organic, growing, moving thoughts of the spiritual world, which are dying into our body in the incarnation on earth. And we have to work on our thinking to change it and bring it to a creative life again. And the guardians of the threshold, he will resound again in our heart. The third beast's glassy eye is the evil counter-image of thinking that inside yourself denies itself and chooses death, refusing the spirit power, who it before his earthly life spiritually keeping alive in fields of spirit. I will repeat it. The third beast's glassy eye is the evil counter-image of thinking that inside yourself denies itself and chooses death, refusing the spirit power who it before his earthly life spiritually keeping alive in fields of spirit. And we have to live and learn the history of the human being, coming out of the old Saturn, going through the old sun and then the old moon to the earth, having time in Lemuria, in Hyperborea and in Atlantis. And so also learn how the development of the human being, of the soul and the spirit and the I is going from the past to the nowadays to the future. And then we know how the thinking was the thinking of the gods in us and how it is dead now. And we have to remember to the words of the guardian. But you must beware of the abyss, otherwise its beast will devour you if you pass by me in haste. Your cosmic age has placed them there, in you as enemy of knowledge. And in the second step, we have to work on our feeling. And when we have a look to the thinking, we know that thinking, with the thinking, we are a member of the unity of the whole world. And we are fully conscious in thinking. And the feeling, we are in a half consciousness. And with the feeling, we have not the same feeling for the whole world. We are in different parts of peoples, different parts of nations, different parts of areas and valleys. And this feeling is something which separates us from each other in groups. And this is where the enemy, the great enemy of the human being, the Ahriman, is working to bring harm and destroying in the human being, to separate them, to make nationalisms, but also if we think there should not be any difference in the feelings. We are different, but we have to accept the feelings of different peoples and nations. So there we have also find the right way. And till we are not clear with our thinking, which is really a strong way to go, to come into a self-awareness and a self-knowledge about their own feeling, we still are mockers against the spiritual world. And we have to practice this looking on our own and find out which is the feeling of us and what we have to do better in this kind of way. And the guardian speaks. The second beast's mockery face. It is the evil counterforce of feeling that your own soul hollows out and emptiness of life creates instead of spiritually content, which was enlightened before earthly being through the sun's spiritual power for the soul. The first beast is the reflection of the will, and the will lies completely in our unconscious part of mind. The will is the path of our karma, and it separates us completely from other human beings. And the guardian reminds us, the first beast's bony spirit, it is the evil creative power of the will which our own body estranges your soul's inherent strength and consecrate it to the counter forces who would world being, the God being, want to steal in future time. In our willing work, the spiritual powers which want to strip our bodies from us during our earthly existence, and therewith take a portion of our souls with it, in order to build an earth which does not continue the develop of our Earth into the new Jupiter, Venus and Vulcan. And together with this earth stolen from the gods, the human being would be united with this certain count of powers and forces which work in his will to steal the human being and the earth from the gods. And the courage of knowledge and the creation of knowledge can help us. Though the guardian of threshold speaks about this beast, as I have just described, I will read it again. The first beast's bony spirit, it is the evil creative power of the will, which your own body estranges your soul's inherent strength, and consecrate it to the counter forces, who would world being, the good being, want to steal in future time. In these words from the guardians of threshold's mouth resound further the warning to the human being seeking knowledge and insight. When the guardian speaks it again, the third beast's glassy eye is the evil counter-image of thinking that inside yourself denies itself and chooses death, refusing the spirit power who it before his earthly life spiritually keeping alive in fields of spirit. Once again, you must grasp the concordance in these verses. The first stanza of the mantra will be written to the board. The third beast's glassy eye is the evil counter-image of thinking that inside yourself denies itself and choosing death, refusing the spirit power who it before his earthly life spiritually keeping alive in fields of spirit. At first we feel what each stanza contains. The second stanza refers to the feeling. The second beast's mockery face, it is the evil counterforce of feeling that your own soul hollows out and emptiness of life creates instead of spiritually content, which was enlightened before earthly being through the sun's spiritual power of the soul. The second stanza will be written to the board. The second beast's mockery face, it is the evil counterforce. Sign force. It's not longer image, now it's force of feeling. Of feeling that your own soul hollows out and emptiness of life creates, instead of spiritually content, which was enlightened before earthly being, through the Sun's spiritual power for the soul. Now we feel first denies and then hollow out, and feel the nuance that enters into the verses by Denise, becoming hollows out. The guardian words directed to willing. The first beast's bony spirit. It is the evil creative power of the will, which our own body estranges your soul's inherent strength, and consecrate it to the counter forces, who would world being, the God being, want to steal in future time. This third stanza is written on the board. The first beast's bony spirit. It is the evil creative power. Now no longer image or force, but power. You must feel the escalation of the will, which your own body estranges. And now you have here the escalation, first the intellectual Denise, then instigation in inner life hollows out, then what completely eliminates inner life estrange. Your soul's inherent strength, and consecrate it to the counter forces, who would world being, the God being, want to steal in future time. Note that in all three stanzas the word evil echoes. And if you observe and feel the critical points in the escalation and in the difference between thinking, feeling and willing, and if you correctly sense how all three are united by the always recurring word evil, then, my dear friends, each stanza will become a mantra for you according to its inner meaning, and they can become a guide on the three stages to the spiritual world. That of the third beast, of the second beast, and of the first beast. And if you never omit these three concordants, and never fail to unite the three by the one decisive word towards an inner soul, then they will become your guide, my dear friends, on the path past the guardian of the threshold and into the spiritual world. We will get to know him better in the following lessons. The third beast's glassy eye is the evil counter-image of thinking that inside yourself denies itself and choosing death, refusing the spirit power, who it before his earthly life spiritually keeping alive in fields of spirit. The second beast's mockery face is the evil counter face of feeling that your own soul hollows out and emptiness of life creates instead of spiritually content, which was enlightened before earthly being, through the sun's spiritual power for the soul. The first beast's bonny spirit, it is the evil creative power of the will, which your own body estranges your soul's inherent strength and consecrate it to the counter forces who would world being, the God being, want to steal in future time. And please always be aware about that self-knowledge is getting into world knowledge. And if you are finding world knowledge, it will bring you the way to self-knowledge. And if you live with these mantras, if you live in your work on your own against these beasts, you will find out that these beasts nowadays you always also can find in our world. This is one of the reasons our world is looking like it is. So at the end I will say the words of the first word from the 9th lesson. O man, know yourself. So resounds the world word. You hear it soul powerful. You feel its spirit vastness. Who speaks so world vastly? Who speaks so felt heartily? Does it act through space, distant radiation, in your senses being experience? Does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? Is it you yourself who, in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling for aim, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream. Thank you very much.